You know the vibes. Welcome to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K23. I am myself, Mo Mootsie. Alongside me, as always, the one, the only, Mr. BJ Armstrong.
Mo, I should have a you know the vibes when the Celtics win and the Celtics lose. because, because when the Celtics win, it just sounds better. But maybe it just sounds better in my headphones,
It needs,
It
they need
sounds
to keep
better.
winning. They need to keep winning. But I'm trying to bring the energy. It's 6:30 a.m. for me, 11:30 a.m. for you, right? Or p.m., sorry.
10:30, 10:30,
10:30. Oh,
10:30
easy.
p.m.
10:30, man.
Yeah.
That's still early, man. That's the night is still young. Friday night in LA.
Okay.
I got to bring the energy though, keep you going. So
Okay.
two great games today. First and foremost, the Boston Celtics won. Finally. Well, I mean, they won the last game, but every game is not guaranteed with these guys. They won 114-102 against the Sixers, and then we saw the Nuggets and the Suns go up against each other in Phoenix, which we'll talk about later on in the show. So let's talk about this Celtics game. First and foremost, a very wholesome moment before the game, Embiid lifting his MVP trophy, the Michael Jordan MVP trophy, which does look a little bit like a lampshade now. I like the old MVP trophy, but they got a new one.
Right.
They got a fancy new one. But he had a great moment. His son came out and his parents were there. So very, very wholesome. Congratulations to Joel Embiid, who did put up 30 points and 13 rebounds in 39 minutes, still playing on a bad knee. However, the rest of the team, in particular, his two co-stars, if you've got a big three, all three of you got to show up in the playoffs. You can't have one guy who's playing on basically one leg, overcome with emotion after winning the MVP, putting up a dominant display, and then the other two guys, disgraceful performances. James Harden, 16 points. He went 2 of 7 from behind the arc, 3 of 14 from the field. And for a long while there, he was on 9 points. He scored a couple buckets late in the game to kind of get into double figures. But Tyrese Maxey, 13 points, 3 of 9 from behind the arc, 4 of 16 from the field. The other thing I forgot to mention with James Harden was 5 turnovers. Now, this is a guy who, after game one, where he dropped 45 points, everyone's saying he's back. Well, he's not back. He went missing. So that was a big disappointment for Philly. But on the other hand, the Celtics, they got it done. 27 points for Tatum, 23 for Brown, 17 for Big Al, who was a little bit annoyed in this game as people questioned his three-point shooting ability, and he responded with 5 of 7 attempts from behind the arc, knocking down. Derek White had 13, Marcus Smart had 15, so all 5 stars in double figures, and Malcolm Brogdon came off the bench for a very inefficient, but still okay, 15 points. BJ, biggest takeaways from this one?
Well, again, I mean, the starters of the Celtics, I mean, that's a pretty good starting lineup. And then you have Rob Williams, who gives them a defensive presence. Grant Williams didn't score tonight, I don't think. However,
Nope.
I
He did the PJ Tucker.
I like it when he plays because you got to have depth. And so now, Rob Williams, Grant Williams, Brogdon, that's a solid 8. I mean, Mo, those are a solid 8.
We call it the PJ Tucker when you play extended minutes.
Oh, is that what you call it?
Well, it used to be the Tony Snell, but now it's the PJ Tucker. Even though PJ hit 3 threes tonight because they were literally leaving him wide open.
So I like what I saw tonight from the Celtics. I mean, I told you this yesterday. I know I made you nervous. I think this team, the Celtics, they came out again and they are a resilient group. And I like it when they play with this level of focus. I thought they played a great game on the road. And I thought they displayed a championship level mentality by knowing that they have to win on the road if they're going to win the final game of the season. So I thought this was a great step. I thought they were prepared. They looked ready. They looked like they were focused. As you guys like to say, they were locked in tonight. And nice win. It'd be nice if they can get 1. They did it. Mission accomplished. But now they got an opportunity to get 2. And let's see if they can come out and take care of business and really, get game 4. I think if they get this next one, I think it's really gonna I think it will solidify to put that they are the better team during the series. But I think it's going to be a big task because I know Philadelphia, they're going to have to change some things, especially the way they play, because they have to get two or more of those guys involved, right? Joel Embiid is going to get his, but Maxey or Harden seem to not, they don't look like they can get going. It doesn't look like that they can get enough space or they're playing with the correct flow to really have an impact on the game.
There's not much space. There's not much flow, should I say, rather, because most of the Sixers offense is largely, we're going to give the ball to Embiid, we're going to try and clear out, and the big fella is going to go to work. There's a different pace as to what we saw in game one. We did see tonight, DeAnthony Melton made contributions. Like I said, PJ Tucker hit some threes. George Niang, he added 10 points. Tobias Harris also a disappointing game. But essentially, if you're not a catch and shoot player, it's very difficult to get going when you've got a dominant force like Embiid on the court who takes up such a large amount of possessions to go out and do what he does. And I'm not criticizing the big fella. 11 of 12 from the free throw line, 9 of 19 from the field. He was dominant as always. But it is difficult for a player like Maxey who relies on pace and James Harden who's a lot of self-creation. What I'm surprised we don't see more of is Harden and Embiid screen roll kind of actions. I thought we'd be seeing a lot more of them or even Embiid and Maxey screen roll actions. We didn't see a lot of them, but credit to Joe Mazzulla in this one because defensively, he gave Embiid so many different looks. He gave him so many different defenders. They started with Al Horford on him. Then they put Grant Williams, Marcus Smart, even Jaylen Brown got some time guarding him. They were trying to double him, but they were trying to throw the double teams in at awkward times so that he couldn't get a rhythm, even though he managed to still put up 30 points. But throwing all different types of defenses at him, the Celtics even went to a zone for a little bit. It was a great game plan. A bit scary as Robert Williams crashed into the Celtics bench and looks like he really hurt his wrist. Jason Tatum crashed into some fans, hurt his leg, and Grant Williams' face got accidentally crushed into the ground by Joel Embiid, who was falling, as always, after a so-called foul, which was not a foul, as always, when it's against Joel Embiid. So hopefully those guys are okay. They can get iced up and get ready for the next one. How are you feeling about this? Because Philly took the home court advantage, but now the Celtics have regained it by winning game one on the road. Do you think that the Celtics will now win the next two, kind of close it out? Or do you think they'll start to be unserious once more and it will become a longer series?
Well, Philadelphia is a good team. So I think they're going to come out and play with a sense of desperation mode. And you know how that is when you are facing a team and they're back up against the wall. They didn't get to this point by just laying down in the when they face adversity. So I expect this to be a very tough game. I think Doc Rivers knows he's got to go back to the drawing board. They're going to have to figure out how to incorporate Maxey or James Harden to really be impactful during the course of the game. I mean, those guys, they really were, they were not contributors in the sense of what we've come to expect from them, especially after game one's performance by James Harden, right? We know he's capable of getting 40. However, both of those guys don't seem to be able to get into a flow. So they're going to have to figure out something. They're going to need contributions from not only Maxey and Harden, but Tobias Harris as well. I think, he's going to have to figure out how to get himself involved. And they're going to have to get out there and play a different brand of basketball. I don't think you can have a steady diet of just one player being featured, especially in their half-court offense. And you can see the Celtics are prepared for that. They are giving him different looks. They're not allowing him, even though he had 30 points, I thought they did an excellent job of being very disruptive in the half-court offense. And, they just gave him different looks. I mean, they went a little zone. They went with different guys, different matchups. They were physical with him. And then they tried to exploit that by getting stops and getting out in transition. And you can see, I mean, they had double figures by all of their starters tonight. Al Horford, again, he's very timely in the shots he makes. Shot the ball extremely well from the three-point line. So that's going to, they just give those guys credit. I mean, the Celtics, that was a well-coached game by Coach Mazzulla. But more importantly, those guys came out there and executed the game plan beautifully. And the Sixers are going to have to figure out how to get someone else to be impactful along with Joel Embiid, hoping that he can come back and duplicate what he did. But one of those other guys are going to have to step up. I think a couple more of those guys are going to have to step up if they're going to tie this series up 2-2.
Well, one thing I did want to mention, we talked a lot previously this season about Brook Lopez's evolution of his game. I've got to show some love for Big Al because he went 5 from 7 from downtown tonight. And his evolution as a 3-point scorer throughout his career is really something special. And they don't win the game tonight without Al Horford. The minutes he was off the court, they didn't struggle, but it was a lot harder to contain Embiid when he wasn't there. But let's move on to the next game because we saw, 2 huge performances. Devin Booker, 47 points, and Kevin Durant, 39 points, as the Phoenix Suns took a 121-114 win at home over the Denver Nuggets. BJ, this was simply amazing from Devin Booker, right? He went 20 of 25 from the field. He only took how many free throws? He took 2 free throws. So he scored 45 points. I think he might have been the first player ever to score 45 points without attempting a free throw. I think the most before that might have been Dirk with 24. No, sorry, not Dirk with 24. What am I talking about? This is how you know it's 6:30 in the morning. All the stats that I've been reading have all just jumbled up in my head. But anyway, it's a historic performance, right? Devin Booker doing his thing. And Kevin Durant doing his thing as well, 39 points. But what stood out as well was they combined for 17 assists. They had 9 and 8 respectively. So they basically generated 80-something points with their scoring and then another 20, 30 points. So basically every single point Phoenix scored was almost generated by those 2 guys. Is this sustainable? Are they going to be able to do it in game 4?
I think, Mo, you that's a great choice of words. Is this sustainable? Now, they did it once, and then you said, well, we know they're capable of doing it. But Mo, as this series goes on, when you're playing 43, Devin Booker played literally 42 minutes.
42, and KD got 43.
Kevin Durant and KD got 43, almost 44 minutes. Now, those are a lot of minutes, Mo. And this is game 3. And they're going to need superhuman performances every night for them to win. Just to, and it's not like they won by like 25 points. I mean, Mo, that Denver was right in this game, right to the end.
Yep.
So I don't know, I don't think so. However, I want to highlight, I mean, Kevin Durant was phenomenal. 39 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and then Devin Booker. Wow. I mean, it's one of those performances, 20 for 25 from the field, 47 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists. Mo, there wasn't another player in double figures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how lopsided this offensive
should I tell you what made me laugh?
Team.
Richard Jefferson said something on the podcast, right? So I think like JJ Redick was talking about how good Booker and Durant was. And then Richard Jefferson goes, well, it's not just those 2 guys. Terrence Ross had 5 points. And then I think he was trying to emphasize more guys getting minutes off the bench. Like, to be fair, TJ Warren did hit some big shots down the stretch. And Jock Landale had a fantastic game, 9 rebounds. He brought defensive intensity. He brought rebounding on the offensive glass and the defensive glass. And I think Monty Williams did a great job because Phoenix have a lot of guys that are either offensive guys like TJ Warren and Terrence Ross, or defensive guys like Biyombo and Shamet. And he did a good job of mixing it up so that the rotation players, they weren't too lopsided when they were mixing the starters with the reserve players. So credit to Coach Monty Williams with that. DeAndre Ayton, at some point he was getting booed by the fans. He finished with 4 points, 9 rebounds. And obviously the Joker on the other side dropped a triple-double, 30, 17, and 7. 17 and 17. Sometimes I read Jokic's stat line and it just doesn't make sense. 17 assists, 17 rebounds, and 30 points. That's unreal. DeAndre Ayton down the stretch, which is what stood out to me. In the 4th quarter, about 5 minutes left, DeAndre Ayton missed a putback dunk, got the ball stripped off him, went down the court on the other end, got the rebound, then had the rebound stolen out of his hands. And Monty Williams said that was enough and put Landale back into the game. DeAndre Ayton promised us toughness after the game 1 loss. I'm still waiting for that toughness to arrive. If they want to win game 4, it can't just be Booker and Durant doing everything. This is a former number 1 draft pick. At some point, he's got to step up.
Well, you would think, Mo. I mean, he's been outplayed. There's no doubt about it. But the Joker outplays everyone. But they need DeAndre Ayton come up, step up, and play and play, 20 points, 15, 16 rebounds to offset what Joker's doing. I mean, Joker is clearly dominating the position. Mo, I said it after game, I think it was game 1. They can't just be dominated, okay, by Jamal Murray and Jokic. They have to provide some level of resistance at those positions. I'm not saying they got to outplay them, but you got to provide some resistance at the position. And when Joker dominates, Phoenix should feel lucky to have won this game, and they needed the slack to be taken up by, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, and they certainly did that. I mean, they were a 1-2 punch. But you can see that those guys are phenomenal on the offensive end. However, Mo, if it's one thing that you're seeing that you can see with the Phoenix Suns is they're lacking depth, and you got to have that depth. And they're going to need someone else to step up, because that's a lot to shoulder. That's a lot of responsibility for those two guys. And I don't know if they can do that for another 3 games, but they're going to have to do it, right? You can't talk about what you don't have. You got to go with what you have. So, if they're going to win, they're going to need those guys to come out and have those levels of effort. And Mo, I think you said it at the beginning. I don't think it's sustainable, but great job tonight.
Yep.
Got them a win that they desperately needed. And now they're still alive going into game 4.
Yeah, and the score was 121 to 114, but really that was just because of free throws at the end. It was very close going down the wire. Michael Porter Jr. had a great game, 6 of 10 from behind the arc. He was automatic, and he pulled down 12 boards. But when you look at the 3-point shooting of Denver, 0 from 3 for Aaron Gordon, 0 from 2 from KCP, 1 of 6 from Jamal Murray, 1 of 3 from Bruce Brown, 1 of 3 from Jeff Green. If any of those guys hit 1 or 2 more shots, we're talking about a completely different series at this point. So That's that. Let's look ahead to tonight. We've got an early tip-off. The Knicks and the Heat down in Miami. It's Formula One weekend. So no Tom Thibodeau is going to be hoping that his Knicks players aren't enjoying the festivities with all the celebrities and Instagram models that are down there for the weekend, trying to secure the bag. So what are you thinking ahead of this one? Because I think Jimmy Butler, you saw him after game 2, just smiling and nodding his head. Like, I think we're up for a historical performance today in this one. He's had the time to rest. He's at home. He smells blood in the water, because the Knicks, speaking of Phoenix barely winning tonight, the Knicks barely won game 2, and that was without Jimmy playing. What are you expecting from this one?
Well, I'm expecting a very competitive game. I know there's a lot of anticipation and da-da-da. The fact remains, this series is 1-1. Okay, it's 1-1. Give Miami credit. They came in, they put together 2 really good games. One game, they won in one game in particular. In game 2, they had an opportunity to win without their best player, Jimmy Butler. So am I concerned if I'm the Knicks? Absolutely. But that was the first game back in this series for Julius Randle. So I expect him to be a little better, or begin to trust his ankle, so forth and so on. Everyone's a little banged up. Jimmy Butler's banged up, as we know, and he should be back to himself, causing havoc on both ends of the court. But I expect a very highly competitive game. I expect a game that's going to be very physical. And you know what, Mo? The Knicks have to get one game down there to extend the series, right? To regain home court. And I expect them to come out and give the effort necessary. Now, can they make shots? Can they, put together a 48-minute game? And that's what I'm looking to see. I don't, Jimmy Butler, look, I know what he's capable of doing, Mo, but again, it's not like they have the depth as well. I mean, this is not a deep team, talking about the Miami Heat. And a player is capable of not having one of those, superhuman efforts, because that's what they're going to need. Well, the Miami Heat are going to need Jimmy Butler, who has done it now. He's done it in the first series. He's had these massive 50-point games and 40-point games, and he's, without question, he's capable of doing that. I just don't know, Mo. At some point you get tired. And I think if the Knicks can keep the pressure on and keep playing a physical brand of basketball and just keep it, just be consistent in how they play, I think, Mo, the Knicks have a good chance to win this series. I really do. It's going to be tough. Coach Spoelstra right now, if he was a player, you would say he's in a zone because right now he's coaching.
He's putting a defense in
He's
a zone,
coaching.
huh?
Oh man, this guy, when you say a coach is pulling all the right strings, I mean, this guy right now, he's hot. He's cooking with fish grease. I mean, he's hot right now. So, but I think it's going to be very competitive. So it's going to be a good game.
What I was going to say is I think for the Knicks, they just have to out hustle the Heat because they've shot below 30% so far from three this series, but they are leading in terms of second chance points by a big margin. So they've got to continue to use their double bigs to attack the glass. Because as great as Kevin Love is, he ain't got the young legs of a Mitchell Robinson or a Julius Randle now that he's back from injury, or an Obi Toppin. They got to stay aggressive on the glass. They got to stay locked in on defense. And I think for the most part, even if Jimmy is going off, you've just got to contain the other guys. You've got to make sure Duncan Robinson doesn't come into the game and hit a whole bunch of threes. You've got to make sure Gabe Vincent and Max Strus can't go and score like they did in the last one. So I'm interested to see what happens. But I'm even more interested for the other game tonight. The Lakers and the Warriors, game 3. Big win for the Warriors in game 2. How do the Lakers adjust to this? Besides just hoping Anthony Davis has a big game. Because we've seen in this playoff so far, if we go and look at the game log here, right? If I pull it up and go through all of his performances, there's a very clear pattern, unless I'm mistaken, in his performances. Because it seems like every time he has a big game, he follows it up with a very, what's the word I'd use? Very disappointing.
Mediocre, a very mediocre game.
Subpar by his standards.
Yes.
Let's look at the playoffs so far this year, right? He has 22 points and 12 rebounds and 7 blocks in the first game. Next game, he scores 30. Then he follows it up with 31 points. Next game has 12. Then he follows up with 31 points again. Next game has 16. Then he has 30 points in game 1, follows it up with 11. So there's a trend here happening with Anthony Davis that on the games where you don't get as much rest, he can't perform in the same way that he did before. Now, they've had to travel from Golden State to LA, which isn't a lot of travel, but they have less time off.
It's obviously a 20-minute flight. Yeah, it's not even a travel.
I'm just saying.
You're playing at home. You're sitting in traffic.
It's away, but it's not really a travel, right? But the point being, game 1, he had a lot of rest before game 1 compared to the Warriors who had to play game 7. Now he's got a lot less rest because he's got 2 games. He put 44 minutes up, then 33 minutes up. And now he's only had 1 day of rest between the last matchup and the next matchup. So what are you expecting to see in this game from the Lakers' perspective?
Well, what am I expecting to see? Listen, there's no time for rest. You can rest over the summer. You can do your thing. What I know is the Warriors are going to come out with the fire and the energy because they now have to win. They have to win in LA to win the series. And they got to figure out, and they are prepared to go 7 games to do that. Okay. They're prepared to do that. And they know they got to win there in LA. And their first opportunity is to, win, tomorrow night. So I expect them to come out with the energy. Now they've JaMychal Green gave them a different look. And I'm sure that kind of caught not only the Lakers by surprise, but it caught the viewers by surprise. That wasn't something I think they were planning to do. I think it was out of necessity because, it wasn't talked about a lot. Kevon Looney was a little,
under the weather
before game 2. Now, I don't know what Coach Kerr is going to do, but I certainly know he knows he has an option now, and JaMychal Green is ready to play. And he gives them a different look. He's going to, and the look they are expecting from him is to occupy LeBron James on defense. Okay, so that he can't just really be,
roaming
around out there being disruptive like he was in game 1. So JaMychal Green was excellent. That was a terrific respond, I would say, by him with no time to prepare for it.
And especially he hasn't been in the rotation a whole bunch in the first round and throughout a series.
But he's a pro. I mean, that's you need professional guys, and Mo, you hear us say it all the time. You're looking for those contributions, okay? And JaMychal Green was certainly one. Now, I think that's going to open up the game for the Warriors. I really do, because he was shooting his shots. He didn't have an exceptional game he was shooting his shots. He could make that corner three. He can do some things when you help out. I mean, he's a different player than Kevon Looney, so that's going to force LeBron James and Anthony Davis to defend differently, and they're going to have to come up with a different plan when he's on the floor. So I'm going to see what they're going to do. I think the Warriors know now what they have to do, and it's just about executing it. And it's always a little more difficult on the road than at home. But I think the Warriors, look, they're championship tested.
Well, the other part of it,
they can get it done.
Is Steph Curry in the last game picked them apart by being more of a playmaker rather than a scorer. We see what he does when he focuses on scoring. Game 7 against Sacramento, he drops the 50 piece. But then that game 2 against the Lakers, he has that 12 assists, and his assist was really what got the Warriors the big lead. If you're the Lakers, you got to pick your poison. Are you trying to throw double bodies at Steph Curry to get the ball out of his hands and let him be a playmaker, or are you going to just live with him scoring?
I'm not worried about Steph Curry. What I'm worried about is this. You know, everyone talks about what happened in Game 7. Okay, that's great. If Steph Curry's got to get 38 shots to beat me, I'm taking my chances.
Yeah.
Okay? Mo, 38 shots from your point guard. Okay, Mo. Now, everyone keeps saying he's a point guard. Well, Mo, I don't know too many point guards are getting up 38 shots. I don't care what era you're looking at. What I do know, Mo, is this. We have to, when I say we, the opposing team has to be able to attack them at their weakest area. That's their interior. Those are their interior players. Steph Curry, in today's game, the game today favors 3-point shooting and the guards. You can't defend Steph Curry. Why? You can't touch him. You can't impede his progress. The guy has an exceptional handle, so you can't guard him. The guy's going to get 50 to 75 screens. And you can't expect your bigs to step out, guard the basket, get back in transition. I mean, what are you going to do? The guy's an incredible shooter. But what you can do, Mo, is dominate the game on the other end. Anthony Davis has to dominate the game. Okay, in the previous series, Sabonis had to show up to the game. You can't have subpar games and then allow their guys to, do what they do. You're going to have to do something to offset what they're going to do. Steph Curry or Klay Thompson is going to have a good game tomorrow. One of them, or if not both of them. And then Jordan Poole is capable. Wiggins is capable. And then if Kevon Looney comes in and dominates the game on the defensive end, Draymond Green certainly is capable of having a floor game to be impactful. He doesn't have to score, but we know he's going to have to score. Why? Because he's got to keep the defense honest. I mean, he's looking as aggressive as I've seen over the last 2 series. Literally, because he knows this. The Warriors know this. You can't play Draymond Green and Kevon Looney and have 2 guys on the floor who are non-threats on the offensive end. So the Lakers have already shown that, right? You have to occupy those guys. So, I just think I think you just have to establish what you can do. And if Anthony Davis establishes he's the best big on the floor, now that offsets what they're going to do. They got the best guards on the floor. I mean, Mo, to me, it's just, try to take away. Okay, I'm playing against a great player. Okay, let me offset it. How can y'all offset it? Anthony Davis, you got to get 30 plus, because guess what? Steph or Klay is going to get 30, if not both of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it is.
The bonus for the Lakers, they're back home now. So guys like Reeves and D'Lo and Schroeder, they should play better than they did in Game 2. But only time's going to tell. PJ, I wish we were on TV for this one, because I want to say King Charles is being crowned in England tomorrow as the new king of England. We're going to see if King James can crown the Lakers with a Game 3 win. And then the intro music plays. Anyway, this is the Hoop Genius podcast, better than TV. So stay rocking with us, because we're going to be here every day breaking down the playoffs for you. BJ, am I right in thinking you're going to be at the game tomorrow?
Yeah, I will be at the game tomorrow.
Ooh,
So,
man, what I'd
give me
give
a
to be at the
little.
game.
Well, Mo, yeah, give me a little time to tape.
Mm.
So I will be at the game tomorrow. And we'll have to figure out how to tape tomorrow. But I will be going to the game tomorrow. At least that's the plan right now.
Well, one day,
And
we will be
we
at the
got to be there.
games, taping on the court. One day. You heard it here first.
Well, I want to watch the game. I'll let you tape.
I mean, after the game finishes, we go to the court and then tape on the court.
Yeah,
you
you got to rest after the game.
No, never. You know, I never rest. It's 7 a.m.
You know what I want to do, Mo. You know what my new thing is. What I enjoy doing now is listening to the coaches after the game.
Yeah,
that to me is my favorite part of the game now.
I hear
it's because I just like to. Because they always give you
where do you
why
listen
they did
to
what
them?
they did.
Where do you listen to them?
Well, I listen to on the NBA app. That's what that's where I always watch.
Because the NBA actually streams that live on Twitch, and I was going to be really surprised if you knew what Twitch was. So
I have no idea. I was about to have a heart attack.
I was thinking BJ's watching Twitch streams after the game. I can
barely turn on my iPhone, and as you know, I complain about the iPhone.
Well, this is why you can't get your flip phone, because you won't have the NBA app on a flip phone.
Yeah, you got to stay with the iPhone.
I
got to get the flip phone. Yeah, I'm getting a flip phone, but I watch because the coaches, they give you insight. They let you know what's going on. I was really expecting Jonathan Kuminga to maybe be a player that he went to in this series, and instead he went to Jermichael Green. And
Moses Moody.
Yeah, and he went to Moses Moody. Yes. So we'll see. Normally you tighten up your bench. I expect the Warriors to come out and try to win this one. I think there's a lot of pressure on the Lakers. I really do. And I could see the Warriors. If I were the Warriors, I would come out and try to get up 10 early to force them to play from behind at home.
Yeah.
Because you know what, Mo? I think the Lakers crowd, everyone's coming into the building expecting to win.
Yeah.
And if you can take the crowd out of the game and get them on their heels, maybe miss a few shots, get up 10, maybe get up 15, then all of a sudden you're in a dogfight now.
He gets nervy. I mean? He gets nervy.
Yeah. So if I were the Warriors, that's what I would try to do. Guys, we just have to get up 10. Once we get up 10, it's kind of like you let the other guy know, okay, we're here to win. And now, Mo, the series is like, it's on. And
the other thing as well is if you can get early leads against the Lakers, say you're up 10 in the first, you could stretch, say you're up 20 by halftime, right? The Lakers then have to have a serious thought of, okay, we know AD's got enough in the tank to maybe give us 4 all-time dominant performances in this series. Are we going to waste him in the second half? Or are they just going to roll over and just take the loss and prepare for the next one? That's the question the Lakers have to ask themselves with Anthony Davis's injury history, his motor. So it's going to be interesting to find out. And we got to figure out.
Here's my game plan.
Go on.
Real quick. Here's my game plan. Win the first quarter. Like, if I'm the Warriors, just win the first quarter.
You want to win the game, BJ? You want to win the game, right? If you want to win the game, win the first half. If you want to win the first half, win the first quarter. Win the first quarter, win the first possession, and win every possession.
I want to win this. I want to put the Lakers on their heels. Mm-hmm. The first quarter to me is like, Mo, you want to come out there and you have one of those 26-13 quarters, and they got to call a timeout. Just to let them know that they're going to come back during the course of the game. They're at home and they're going to hit a 3 or 2, and they're going to cut the lead. But you just want to let them know, if you're not careful, we're going to run you out of the gym. And Mo, it's nothing worse than playing at home in the playoffs, and the crowd is expecting you to win, and the other team is just taking it to you, okay? And I think that could be a serious problem because, Mo, their offense has to get real stagnant. I don't think they'll be playing with that same freedom and flow, and Rui will coming in, and D'Lo will be shooting threes, and Schroeder will be doing the thing with his arm when he hits a 3. Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, hey, if we're not careful, because these guys, Curry and these guys, they scored bunches, right? And so I'm going to be looking for that tomorrow. I think it's going to be a good game. Laker Nation will be out in full effect. And you know what? It should be a good game. But I think the Warriors are going to come to play for sure.
Well, let's wait and see. And we're going to be here breaking it down afterwards. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, you name it. Subscribe there and share with your friends. Let them know the NBA playoffs are in full swing. And we're taking you through every single step of the way. We'll see you guys in the next one. Enjoy the games. Nice early tip-off for my people in the UK, Europe, Africa, Middle East, Asia. Nice early one, 8:30 p.m. for us here in the UK. And we'll be back with more tomorrow. Make sure you get buckets.